Now, you're not allowed to foment vaccine hesitancy. That's a very big no-no. So whoever you're not allowed to criticize is who rules you. But Frank Grimes tweeted this out. He found this video. This is the CEO of Pfizer. And he says Pfizer is starting to distance itself from the vaccine. This is remarkable. Well, let's watch. Let's watch what he means when he says that.
When you and your colleagues were trying to decide which route to go down, the traditional vaccine route or the mRNA route, you write that it was, quote, most counterintuitive to go the mRNA route, and yet you went that route. Explain why.
It was counterintuitive because Pfizer was mastering, or let's say we had very good experience and expertise with multiple technologies that could give a vaccine.
So I'll just, because he's got such a thick accent, let me translate his English to English. What he's saying is we had a lot of different ways to deliver this vaccine. Not just the mRNA. That's what he's saying. We had a lot of different ways to do this. That's what I heard him say. And now let's hear him say it through another thick accent.
The viruses that some of the other vaccines are. We were very good in doing that.
And they're very good in doing that kind of a vaccine. Okay.
Protein vaccines, we were very good in doing that, and plus many other technologies. mRNA was the technology that we had less experience, only 2 years working on this. And actually, mRNA was a technology that never delivered a single product.
So he just said the mRNA vaccine technology was something that was new. We'd only been working with it for 2 years, and it had never delivered a single product successfully. We had never been able to do one before.
Till that day. Not vaccine, not any other medicine.
Nothing.
So it was very counterintuitive, and I was surprised when they suggested to me that this is the way to go.
So he said it's very counterintuitive. I mean, it didn't make sense. That's when he says counterintuitive. What he's saying is, it didn't make any sense to me that they would do that. When he says they, I guess he means the scientists that work for Pfizer who developed this vaccine. So he keeps saying they. So I'm guessing he's just a bureaucrat and he's not a scientist. I don't know if he is. Could you look up if Albert Bourla is?
He's a doctor, I thought. That's an amazing thing for a CEO to not say we. They always say we. Right?
He was saying they. He's saying they.
Yeah, that's huge.
He's distancing himself from the vaccine.
I got Albert Bourla is a Greek-American veterinarian.
He's a veterinarian. So that's why horse paste. I wonder if he takes horse paste. So let's go back to this video.
And I questioned it, and I asked him to justify. How can you say something like that?
He goes, how could you say something like that we should use the mRNA technology for this vaccine? I question, how could you say something like that? This is a guy saying that on camera.
But they came and they were very, very convinced that this is the right way to go. They felt that the 2 years of work on mRNA since 2018, together with BioNTech, to develop a flu vaccine, made them believe that the technology is mature and we are at the cusp of delivering a product.
They've been working on it for 2 years to try to get a flu vaccine with mRNA vaccine technology. And since they were working on it for 2 years, they felt that the technology was mature, even though it had never delivered a product. They weren't able to come up with an mRNA flu vaccine. According to him, they weren't able to do it. They weren't able to come up with anything using mRNA vaccine technology.
So they convinced me. I follow my instinct that they know what they are saying. They're very good. And we made this very difficult decision at that time.
So again, I use my instinct. He used his instinct to trust people who he just questioned. That was your instinct was the opposite, you liar. His instinct was the opposite. His instinct was, why are we doing this? How could you possibly say this and justify it? His instinct was the other way.
Have you ever seen a CEO do this before?
No.
I never have ever on anything.
And he's lying. So that's his own words are contradictory.
They forced him as CEO to go with this.
And that happens all the time when you're lying. You often contradict yourself when you're not telling the truth. He just contradicted himself. So Pfizer boosts forecast of vaccine sales. $33.5 billion. Surging demand pushes shot to the top of the drug blockbusters. This is from July 2021. Drug maker plans Delta booster trial. Hey, Pfizer's COVID product sales to top 50 billion this year. Investors want more. Investors want more. That's from February of this year.
What a scoop. Hey, do they want more or less?
They want more. Yeah, the investors want more profits or less profits. I don't understand. What do the investors want? More or less? To help fend off another wave of COVID-19, people will need a fourth dose of the vaccine, says the Pfizer CEO. So that same guy is now saying this. Ready for this?
Do you think that we will every fall have to prepare ourselves for a booster shot with COVID, just like we get a flu shot?
I think so. Many variants are coming, and Omicron was the first one that was able to evade in a skillful way the immune protection that we were giving. But also we know that the duration of the protection doesn't last very long. So what we are trying...
And that's something, they never said that. They said when I was going to get my vaccine, that was it. It was like a polio shot that people told me. Of course, that's not. They say you go get the vaccine and then you're all taken care of. They never said you're going to have to keep getting shot after shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. No one ever said that. Now they're making it sound like that they've always said that. Well, the problem is the protection wanes.
And we are working very diligently. Right now it is to make not only a vaccine that will protect against all variants, including Omicron, but also something that can protect for at least a year.
So you've seen some of that data on a fourth dose, a second booster shot. Mm-hmm. You think it will be necessary? It is necessary,
a fourth boost. Right now, the protection that you are getting from the third, it is good enough, actually quite good for hospitalizations and deaths. It's not that good against infections, but doesn't last very long. Mm-hmm. But we are just submitting those data to the FDA, and then we will see what the experts also will say outside Pfizer.
I guess we have to wait 75 years for that data, because that's how long Pfizer wants us to wait for their data on the vaccine trials.
The irony that he's a veterinarian after all the Rogan horse paste shit. Yeah. I'm like,
you couldn't, if you wrote this stuff into a script, they would go, come on. That's a little hard to believe that they would make a Nobel Prize winning human medicine out to be a horse medicine, and the guy at the head of the pharma thing is a veterinarian. Come on.
Well, that's what they tell me to say. Tell me.
Can I just send him a check and forget about the shot? So I know that my friends who were 100% buying into the COVID narrative by the establishment and were wagging their fingers and were pro-mandate, I know they'll never admit that they were wrong 100% about this and they should have been skeptical of the COVID narrative coming from Fauci and fucking veterinarians like this guy. I know they'll never admit it, just like the people who were wrong about Russiagate never admit that they were fucking wrong about Russiagate. They'll never admit it.
Jimmy,
what?
How many of them in the same breath told you about watching the thing about the Sackler family
Yeah.
and the
They would say,
cotton.
yeah, you got to watch that. You got to watch that documentary on how the big pharma screwed everybody and got us hooked on heroin. And at the same time,
And they knew.
and they knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. These aren't people covering up accidents. These are people engineering a criminal enterprise that devastates and kills people. That's what Big Pharma did with the opioid addiction. And those same people, you're not allowed to have if you criticize those people, you're a bad person. You're a conspiracy theorist. Instead of what they are, which is a propaganda repeater and ingester. That's what those people are. Those people who made fun of Eric Clapton. Those people who smeared Eric Clapton. They'll never admit they were wrong. They'll never do a mea culpa. They'll never apologize. They'll never do a soul search, ever. They're going to lie to themselves and move on with their life. And they caused a lot of... What's that?
You have to worry about whatever disease is coming out of that peaceful biolab in Ukraine now.
Yeah,
You get to
that's
move
right.
on.
Hey, we got more dates for our 2022 stand-up tour. We're going everywhere. We're going to Dallas, Houston, Florida. We're going to Omaha, Des Moines, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, and Los Angeles. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all the tickets for all our shows.